As soon as our thought gets confined within the self-created limits, we lose the power of lateral thinking. We lose the power of lateral thinking. With no surprise, we lose the power of exploring on unattended possibilities, exactly like we lost the power to explore that much bigger chunk of white, brighter, and fleeting part of the paper. We react on everyday problems, adversities, or criticism in a similar fashion. It hardly matters what age group we belong to. It hardly matters what age group we belong to. We are programmed for continuous self-evolution from morning till night and from night till the morning. We do not remain the same person between the journey from yesterday to today. Something gets added to us every day. We easily notice problems and threats floating on the way, but we rarely realize that solutions and opportunities are left unnoticed. The mind gets auto-focused on the geoparodies of life. The complete thought process gets boxed within the perimeter of perceived maniacs. And then whatever action plan we create, we relate it with the overcoming those geoparodies. In other words, we simply get stuck around the dark spots and overlook the whole big pie available on the landscape of life. Unintentionally, unknowingly, but truly we miss to explore many great possibilities that we have in front of us. We get so busy with dark spots that we forget our original purpose, the purpose of striking upon unattended opportunities to cultivate unachieved success. Imagine if somehow our first glance becomes so capable that it starts capturing effortlessly the abundance of possibilities present on the white and bright part of the paper, and start over leaping the dark spots, for instance, then what all can happen? What all can happen? It can completely transform the way we perceive, think, act, and live. We will immediately get revealed to a whole new perspective of life. We will meet with numerous opportunities to draw bigger, brighter, smoother shapes in vibrant colors of our own choice on the huge canvas of life. The new shapes will be so loud and so powerful that they will completely squash the presence of niggling dark spots. It means we will be able to enjoy the blessings that we already have, and we will create more of it by uncapping the possibilities that we left unexplored till now. Can you guess what is different between those who experience the enormous success in most aspects of life compared to those who experience little or no success despite of unceasing struggle? You may agree to some extent that difference is mostly on the perspective to look at the things. Those who are happy and successful usually possess an intrinsic personal tendency that automatically ignites them to get auto-focused on the abundance of all that is white and bright. Consequently, they explore on opportunities and tap on possibilities to grow their happiness and success both together. On the other hand, those who experience little success probably hold an intrinsic personal tendency that automatically thrusts them to focus on the dark spots. As a result, they sit on problems with great loyalty and block their happiness and success both unknowingly. Now, the question is, what is intrinsic personal tendency? The intrinsic personal tendency is an outcome of psychological paradigm formed within the person from birth till age. It means it is a psychological paradigm which is there within you since your birth, and it has been formed, evolved till your current age. Our overall emotional setup, belief system, knowledge, competency, and attitude are elementary constituents of our paradigm's naive inception. Further, this paradigm is formed by the inputs we receive from outside world as experiences. Every new experience has a new impact on the emotional side of mind, and so is on the paradigm. Our paradigm is unappointed but extremely dominant decision maker that lives within us. What we see, think, feel, and act is 100% in accordance with our paradigm's finality. It has undisputed authority to control our thought process. We see what our paradigm allows us to see. We think what our paradigm allows us to think. We feel what our paradigm allows us to feel. It gives directions to our actions and defines every bit of execution. Every move we take is derived from the paradigm we hold within us. The paradigm is rigorously invincible, but fortunately, it is rewritable. We learn plethora of lessons, consciously and unconsciously, in a most influential school, the school in which we never took admission through any entrance exam, we never paid any money as a fee, but we keep writing its exams and keep getting results without any scorecard. We call this school the daily life. Every moral picked up today in this school adds something to the paradigm which was formed till yesterday. Additions to the paradigm grow it bigger and make it more powerful. It solely depends on our previous day's paradigm that what morals, may be good or bad, we will pick today from the school of daily life and will add to today's paradigm. Then today's paradigm is going to be the base for creating tomorrow's paradigm. This is how our thought process gets cultivated and paradigm fosters. It's a chain, a continuous and never-ending concatenation of thoughts and beliefs. It never shrinks back but grows every day. It is unstoppable like time. If we add positive morals to our paradigm every day, it cascades and forms an intrinsic personal tendency that prominently looks at the brighter side of the things. Apparently, if we add negative morals to it every day, it cascades and forms an intrinsic personal tendency that conspicuously looks at darker side of things. Intrinsic personal tendency of looking at brighter side of the things can be easily correlated with the optimistic behavior and positive attitude. On the contrary, the intrinsic personal tendency of looking at darker side of the things can be abetted with pessimistic behavior and negative attitude. Which one is a better personal tendency? Which one of the two tendencies is more viable to produce desired positive results in daily life examinations? Many people may claim obvious vindications in the favor of the intrinsic personal tendency that looks at the brighter side of the things. Commendable claim, certainly. But is it possible for a person to manifest a positive intrinsic personal tendency in all the life situations? It is emphatically a million-dollar question. Being human, we are emotional species by nature. We love, laugh, hate, and cry. We can long on one or the other kind of emotional state from minutes to hours to days to months and to even years. We feel emotions, we express emotions. We captivate emotions and we communicate emotions. What we think turns into what we feel. What we feel turns into what we observe. What we observe turns into what we behave. When emotions translate into language of communication, we perceive them as behavior. And this is the place where we as human, despite of all intelligence, knowledge and wisdom, get prostrated to lose the positivity from our intrinsic personal tendency. Why? Because when emotions mess with perceptions, they generate the most persuading feeling present in humans' emotional dictionary called hatefulness or hurtfulness. When we feel of being hurt, we behave drastically different. On the contrary, the feeling of joyfulness makes our behavior to ride on another path. Feelings place our behavior on the roller coaster of behavioral loop. What is behavioral loop now? Jugglings of life may present unexpected things before us. At times, we receive something good when it wasn't expected at all. Then there are times when we received something exceptionally bad in place of expected charm. When we achieve something commendable and get a pat on the back, we feel delighted and take pride out of it. But when we fail, we immediately try to offload the burden of failure on unfavorable circumstances, people, or even on ill luck. It indicates that when we receive something positive, we reflect pleasure. But when something awful happens to us, we reflect pain. There is a deep secret hidden inside this usual human nature. It's a mischievous deadlock, extremely deleterious. Revealing truth is, this deadlock is the trigger for demolition of all the happiness and success that we have and that we desire. What we get is what we reflect, and what we reflect is what we get. When we get positive behavior, we reflect positive. When we reflect positive, we get positive in return. And we enter into the fragile loop of positivity. Fragile because positivity is vulnerable. On the contrary, when we get negative behavior, we reflect negative. When we reflect negative, we get negative. When we get negative, we reflect negative. And we get stuck into the tough loop of negativity. Tough because it's perpetual and strong. Here is the deadlock. Can we get stuck into the loop of positivity forever? Think carefully. If we express a positive behavior, then it is possible, but not necessary that the other person will also behave in positive manner. Other person may be heavily influenced by some deep negative emotions erupted by his or her own paradigm and may return a crude behavior that may feel insulting. we reflect what we get, hence we reciprocate that insult, and the loop of positivity gets broken. How delicate it is, isn't it? Can we get stuck into the loop of negativity forever? If we express negative behavior, we get negative. When we get negative, we express negative behavior again, and it goes on endlessly. Even if one of the two parties initiate with positive behavior, chances are high that sooner or later one of them will get influenced by some internal negative emotional spike and will introduce negativity again in the loop. In any case, it's tough to break the negative loop of behavior. Very tough, if you realize. Positivity is fragile and difficult to retain. Negativity is tough and easy to sustain. The positive feelings and their experiences are soft like feather. They gently brush through the brain and create good lightweight memories. On the contrary, negative feelings and their experiences are tough stains. They drill into the brain and get embossed like permanent tattoos. Over a period, good light memories fade away, but negative experiences remain intact in the form of strong neurological synaptic connections in the brain. Something that is so capable of sustaining itself inside the brain is also capable of controlling on what brain does. That is the reason negative thoughts have more power to dominate and control our brain and behavior. That is the reason most people have got negative intrinsic personal tendency, dominant in their default nature. Question is, if we get stuck into the behavioral loop for any reason, then can we still achieve success that we want to achieve in this very lifetime? Obviously, no. Until we remain locked in the loop, we cannot achieve the success of our dreams. Not at all. We must break the loop and come out of it as early as possible. But be it positive or the negative loop, loop is loop. It's so continuous that we find no time to interrupt in between. Practically, no person can live throughout the life in any of the two loops. There must be a third circle in between which can enable the shifting of emotions, behavior, or attitude for a person from positive cycle to negative one and from negative cycle to positive one. When we are too much worried, we revolve emotionally in the negative cycle for a longer period. On the other side, when somehow we feel assured for longer hours of joy, then we revolve in the loop of positive cycle. But why one can't stay in the positive loop forever? Why it switches to the negative loop? Does this switch happen by choice or just by chance? Psychological studies about brain and brain's behavior has revealed some surprising facts. Dr. Paul Rosen and Edward showed in their research that the negative perspective is more contagious than the positive perspective. Further studies have shown that our attitudes are more heavily influenced by the bad news than good news. Other researchers analyzed language to study negativity bias. For example, there are more negative emotional words, 62%, than positive words, 32% only in the English dictionary. In our brains, there are two different systems for negative and positive stimuli. The amygdala uses approximately two-thirds of its neurons to detect negative experiences. At once the brain starts looking for bad news, it is stored into long-term memory quickly. Positive experiences have to be held in our awareness for more than 12 seconds at least in order to get transformed from short-term memory to the long-term memory. What does it mean? The brain quickly glues with negative experiences but repels the positive ones. Negative experiences easily get attached to the brain. They become permanent in the memory and usually affect our intrinsic personal tendency. Positive experiences easily slip from the brain and rarely leave behind a permanent mark. That is why it takes a lot of effort to create and develop a strong positive attitude, which is a bare minimum ingredient required to cook the dish of most desired success. Question is, if brain is just the storehouse of memories, then who is the creator of those memories? There is some invisible entity that exists around the brain to ignite memory cells. This invisible entity works as psychological engine for the brain and for the body. Definitely, that entity is not created by any supernatural power. Otherwise, like the biological brain, that entity also must have universal structure and function for all human. But that's not true. What is that entity? We call it mind. People are different because of their different minds. It is the mind of an individual that develops the perspective to deduce meanings of feelings, emotions, and expressions. It is the mind that affirms rituals and convictions. It is the mind that develops the taste of good or bad. Mind has no biology, no chemistry, no physical geometry. But it has the most powerful privilege to continuously develop, destroy, and redevelop the psychology of brain and body. What happens in our mind space defines what's going to happen in our life space. Precisely, the quality of our mind space creates the quality of life that we live. Let's understand the mind space that we have. The core brain is universally common in all of us, but the elaborate phase of brain is surely different. Brain has its own reflex functions at one side, but on the other side it provides a limitless size of blank canvas. From the birth till age, knowingly or unknowingly, we keep writing our learnings, experiences, feelings, and observations on this blank canvas with various colorful markers. Few markers are permanent, few are temporary. What we write or allow others to write goes into the memory and becomes our frame of reference. Our frame of reference. Combining brain and this canvas together forms a more prominent new identity called the mind. Mind is the reason for our understanding and conscience. It is the creator of our thought process. It can superpower us to achieve the apex of success. It can deprive us to a mediocrity of life filled with wants and wishes. Mind is the creator of who we are and enabler of what we can be.